Real pleasure for me to welcome one of my favorite actors of all time. He'll be here in Sarasota a week from Sunday at the Van Wezel doing his show. His brand new book is called Tony and Me, A Story of Friendship. Of course, the great Jack Klugman joins us now by telephone. How are you, Jack?
I'm fine. I can hardly hear you.
Okay, I'll try and jack up the phone a little bit there for you. Sorry about that.
Good.
There we go. But what a great book, Jack. I had a chance to look through it last night and watch the DVD of the outtakes from Odd Couple. What a great addition to that book, too.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, that was one of my favorite shows growing up in New York. That was must-see TV, 11 o'clock every night on Channel 11.
You were the guy that was watching it. Because we were a flop for 5 years, rating-wise, but I knew we had a good show.
Well, I actually remember watching it when it was on ABC as a kid, growing up on Channel 7 in New York, and then after that, it took off, like you said, in reruns, and that became every night at 11 o'clock. You had to watch The Odd Couple.
Yeah, reruns, it really got famous. There was a time when a half hour didn't go by where it wasn't shown somewhere in America, but that was it once we went into syndication.
Oh, yeah, that was, they had it on TV Land for a while, and they've taken it off there. I don't know why. Any chance of bringing it back?
I think it's a little expensive, and I think TV Land had it on for a while, but I think it gets a little expensive with the music, and everybody gets a piece of the action, so I think that's the reason.
I know you and
TV Land has been very good to us.
Yeah, I know you and Tony did kind of like little cuts in between the episodes. It was great when they first brought him onto TV Land. You kind of introduced the episodes.
Yeah.
Which was great.
That was a terrific outlet for us. But it's on somewhere because I own 10% of it. And so I keep getting checks, so...
Oh, that's good.
So I know it's on somewhere.
That's always a benefit, but...
Yeah,
just when Tony passed away a couple of years ago, I mean, really both of you together and individually, two of my favorite actors, and of course that's the topic of the book here. How's it been just going around the country and talking about Tony?
Well, it's been kind of touching in a way, but it's brought him to life. I can't find closure. Because when I see those outtakes, and he's so full of life and vitality, and all the things that he ever did for me, which was so much, brought me back to the theater. You know, we had a good friendship when we first started for 5 years, but then when I got sick, the relationship either moves up a notch or it falls, disintegrates. Well, it moved up a notch, and he was the first one to visit me in the hospital. And I lost my voice. I had no sound at all. And I said, I lost my voice. And he said, let's face it, Jack, you never did sound like Richard Burton anyway. But then he said, if and when you're ready to come back, we'll find a venue for you. I thought, yeah, find a venue for an actor without a voice. But he did, on stage. You know, he never made a promise to me that he didn't keep. And he had my vulnerability with kid gloves. He was terrific to me.
I saw both you and him in two productions at his National Actors Theater. It was Three Men and a Horse, and then I saw you again in The Sunshine Boys. And
where do you live in New York?
I grew up in New York, yeah. I lived there till about 10 years ago, but I went up on vacations and saw you guys. I knew you were going to do the show at the National Theater, and what great afternoons of theater that was.
Oh, they were such a joy to work. It was a joy to work with him. And, I had no voice, and he had very little sound. And I said, they won't hear me, Tony. He said, promise you, they'll hear you. They love you. I will mic you. They will hear you. And he'll tell you, I just believed in him so much. And they did hear me. And it was I would never have come back without him. I would never let people in my life, like my kids, without him. He taught me so much about being vulnerable and letting people in your life, as he did. He had great taste in women. He married two wonderful women, and he loved being a parent, everything about him. Even though he was not a kid when he was taken away, at the memorial, I said, boy, what a jip, because he was taken away too soon. I love that password. And it was the only time he had lived on a show, because, there was such crazy things, like I said mayonnaise, and he said Lincoln. And I said, Lincoln? He said, well, it was a well-known fact that Lincoln loved mayonnaise. Crazy kind of things. But then he was through and they had to take him out. And they had a long cross with the security guards. And he ad-libbed that line, boy, what a jip.
That's
and
right.
I just broke up. It was the only ad-lib. We improvised.
remember.
He used to bring me up all the time.
Remember Aristophanes, and then it was ridiculous. I love that one. I like the one you did with. I love them all, obviously, but the Monty Hall ones were great. Let's Make a Deal when you did that with them.
Oh, yeah, they were. All those shows, they were Tony's ideas, like the opera singers and bringing Howard Cosell on.
Oh, sure.
I never would have. It was very hard for me to ask somebody who was successful to do a television series or do a guest spot. But he knew the value of it. He called Monty Hall and said, "Come on, do a show." And the writers, they wrote a wonderful show. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, you had some great stars in that. I remember you had Bobby Riggs on one episode where you kept losing money to Bobby.
And we had Howard Cosell. We had all the opera singers. We had Edward Villella, Roy Clark.
That's right, the Roy Clark Show. Yeah, you gave him about 4 songs. That was just a wonderful series. And just watching the video, you can tell. Like you even introduced it, saying how much fun you guys had. I mean,
the kids today make a hell of a lot more money. And they made more in 2 days. The kids on Friends that I made in 5 years, but they didn't have the fun that I had. The wonderful